Hello and good evening. It's Tessa-Marie and welcome to the Tessa-Marie Show. Today, Friday, July 23rd, it's financial night. So tonight, it's financial night and we're going to be digging deep into the pillar of financial prosperity. As you know, financial prosperity is one of the 5 pillars of prosperity. And this particular pillar we chose to have on Friday nights. So every night, 5 days a week, we have a pillar. Emotional on Monday, physical on Tuesday, Wednesday we have mental, Thursday spiritual, and of course Friday is reserved for financial. Financial prosperity is really, really important, and it covers all areas of our financial being. Sometimes we look at financial prosperity and everyone says, hello, it's just about your finances, and it's really just about money. In a sense, it's really money because it speaks of finances. But today, even when I was building it and looking at what I had to offer, that journey started on Tuesday. Because on Tuesday, I had an experience that with my friend who's 84, and I saw the sadness in her face. And I had seen that sadness before in faces of other women when I worked at the bank. And that said to me, people need to know this shouldn't still be happening. People need to know that. One of the things about finances is that you must remember, when a couple gets together, whether it's a man and a woman, whatever that couple is, and because of the world in which we live right now, people get together who have already established lives outside of the parental home. For example, when I left my parents' house into my husband's house, our house together. Not his house, but a house we put together. Many people in this modern world they buy their own places. Women did that. My daughter did that. She bought her own condo at 23. And of course she had it. It was either we got her to buy a condo, or we got her to buy a store called Winners in Toronto, because that's all she did, shop. So the more money I got her to save, the more raises she got, the more promotions she got, the more, and money kept rolling in. I couldn't keep up, and I suggested she bought a house. My husband thought it was not a good idea. But it was, so I gave him the option, you can buy her this company, or which she buys a house. Which one do you want to do? Since I know you can't afford to buy this company that she's feeding all her money to. And so he relented, she got a house. So when she was married, her fiance had his own place, and they had their own place. But I had taught her from observation that you have to come together as a unit. And not only for the everyday business things, that for paying bills, there's ways things are done that are just not good. Because if you do not know what's going on, somebody's going to have to hold the short end of the stick. And my friend, although 84, and she happened to have left her parents' house, and she and her husband formed a home, came to Canada. I don't know how old she was, very old, because both her children were born here. And they established this life. And I always knew they had 2 separate money baskets. I call them money baskets. And, I never took the time to get involved with it, but I gathered just from the conversation from her husband, and he worked for a great big worldwide electronic company, who started off making bulbs and stuff, and of course it's huge. And she never knew what was going on, because it was always my husband paid all the bills. And I had seen that before at the bank 20 years ago. My husband paid all the bills, and it just kept going on like that. And I would hear conversations from her and stuff, but it was always he manage this. And many times he would say to me, Tessa-Marie, when I die, your friend is going to be rich, a rich, rich, rich woman. I said, okay. He made a statement. I accept the statement, and I sipped on my espresso coffee, because that's what I would enjoy with her in the back garden. And that went on for the longest time. That he paid all the bills. She worked. She did have a job. She worked for a big electronics company too. But I don't think her job was as big as his, or it created a lot of stuff like that. But there she was, and always said, he did that, he did this, he did that. But I saw there was something different between them. I could see that she was maybe more au courant, meaning more into it, or maybe I could say smarter. Maybe she was wise. She's wiser. She was than him. But I don't think, coming from a Macedonian background, that she saw it as that. So she stepped back and let him run the show. So that has been going on, and he always told me she was going to be rich when he died. So anyway, in March of this year, he had a heart attack at 84. They were both just the same age, and he died. Lasted about 3 weeks, and then he died. So lo and behold, all the papers have to be done, right? And when somebody dies, really, people don't know that. But as a financial planner, I'll tell you, in Canada and most places around the world, if somebody tells you to be their executor, you should have a stiff drink before you say yes. So then you can say, I was drunk when I took on this responsibility. That is one of the most difficult jobs you can have. In Canada, an executor, and most countries, has 57 duties to perform when somebody dies. 57. So you don't choose somebody that is as old as you to be your executor, or somebody that is so much younger than you. So it's quite a job to choose the right executor. But that person has to take all the papers and put it together and it starts with getting a death certificate. And it just goes like that. And everything, if without the death certificate, nothing happens. You cannot do anything. You must prove that that person is dead. But you are the executor. So there's 57 things you must do. Number one is getting a death certificate. Then if there are beneficiaries, you are responsible to make sure they get their money or whatever their wealth or whatever they have to get. If you make a mistake in judgment, these beneficiaries can sue you for that. An executor is to get paid. Sometimes executors do it pro bono just because they know the family, or they're part of the family, or the niece, the nephew, this daughter, the son. All that is fine. But what happened with my girlfriend is that when they got the paper from the insurance, from the company of his pension, and what should happen with his pension, and what was going to, and all the benefits and stuff. So when her son started looking at it, and they went to the lawyer, fine-tooth comb, they found out when he retired, he did not take his time to read that package. And maybe I could say, knowing him, he was a little bit arrogant. Yeah. He did not take that package to somebody who knows what to look for and how to read this and what it entails. He signed. He signed it away without realizing what he was signing. But in his head, he thought he was signing it so she would benefit for everything. That's why he kept saying, when I die, she'll be rich. What he didn't do, he didn't sign for them to withhold it. Or he didn't sign. All he needed to do was to ask them to take $200 from his pension. Just $200. But he didn't read the fine print. and she didn't know what was going on. They had two separate bank accounts. They had two separate things. So she had no idea, and she just trusted and believed him. She had her pension from her company, which was smaller, because she didn't work for a very long time. And then he had this. But the way he filled out the form and signed it, and maybe English wasn't his first language, he understood it, he worked there, but he didn't, all he needed to do was to do $200, $199 something. And that $200 would have enabled the pension that he received to be transferred to her, and that $200 would have helped with inflation, so it would have been higher, and he could afford it. So when she was thinking that this group of money is coming in from him and other things that were included, like a death benefit and all of that, none of that was taken care of. It was waived. So everything died with him. Everything. Every last penny died with him. And there she was, all the responsibilities of the bills for the home. Luckily, they don't have a mortgage, but the house has to be maintained. She has to pay her property tax, heat and hydro, maintenance, whatever. And now she has to depend on her small, very tiny income and pension, plus her Canada pension and her old age pension. And she looks at me with those sad eyes and she says to me, "It's not enough." She said, "You know I don't have credit cards, bills and that, but it's just not enough." And your Canada pension or your social security in the States is based on the length of time you work. So 23 to 65 or something like that. And the higher your salary, the bigger your Canada pension. The smaller your salary, the smaller. So I know the numbers so very well. The average that is paid out, the average of Canada pension that's paid out is less than $600 because people do not keep their work, do not work properly, and then they do not save and pay Canada pension if they're self-employed. So she had a tiny job, it was small. So that's the average. There is a maximum that will go to over $1,100, right? But you have to have an income to support that. Then everybody who starts in Canada and works for 40 years in Canada gets $600, which is an old age pension, which is a gift from the government for people when they get to be 65. It depends on the amount of money you make. So people with a huge pension or other assets don't get it. Or if you get it, they claw back some of it based on where your bracket is. But there she is, and then she said to me, she looked at me with tears filling her eye, and she said, "Tess, I didn't know. I just trusted that he knew what he was doing." And she said, "I didn't know how much money was in his bank account. I didn't know how he paid the property taxes. I didn't know how he paid hydro, heat. I don't know anything." So when we went to the bank with my son, that's when we found out. When we took off the pension papers they sent to us, it's just to let us know that everything stops with him. So we protested, we went to them and they said, "No, this is his signature. He signed it like this." Because he didn't read it. So my advice to you is that when you decide to come together with somebody, come together with the person. There is no mine and yours when you make a unity of husband and wife or whatever. You choose wife and wife, husband and husband, whatever. If you're doing this thing, common law or not, you still have to know what's going on in the other person's financial life. I know people don't know that. I have known that there's somebody sitting in the house. So this topic is so huge that it is so deflating to see the sadness that I've seen with people and money. People don't get it. But I don't want the younger generation to be like my friend and women before her that I saw. If you are involved in a relationship, get to share your information. You made an agreement to stay together. Do not be afraid. If you are going to break up, you will break up, and then it will have to be divided according to the law. But whether you keep your whole assets to yourself, common law means, marriage law means it's 50-50. So they're still going to get it from you. So be honest, because in that case, it was macho. I know him well. It wasn't honesty. Not that he didn't love his wife. He was just macho. I am man and I can manage this. And it's not his fault either. That's how society has built him. So there she is left with this. She has a house, but she must have somewhere to stay. So selling the house is not an option right now. She loves her garden. She just lost her husband. So somehow it has to be picked up the pace by her son. She lost her youngest son 2 years ago to cancer. So she has this one son. And she was the lady I spoke about that said, listen, remember, and I said, this friend of mine gives so much to her 2 grandchildren. And now that she really would love to have them in her life, they're not, because they choose not to, because of personal reasons. And she said something that I clicked on when she said it. She said, so then she said to me, Tessa, we both, listen to that, guys, listen to that. That son is their son. That son is their son together. It's not another man's son, another woman's son. It's their son together. He's married and has 2 children. She said, we both put money towards the education. And that is when she hadn't had the discussion with me yet about not having sufficient money to live the life she likes, right? So she said, we both were paying the education. So that means, that tell me there were 2 separate pots. These people have been married since she was 23 years old. They live that life with 2 separate pots of money. And then this person dies. And she didn't know what the financial situation she was going to be left. He didn't even know that he had messed it up. And that is why I tell people over and over and over, there is room to learn. Don't believe you know it all. I think it's maybe just being observant of what I saw working. I have never, ever decided that I know it all. I always have room, always leave some room to learn. And that particular man thought he knew it all. He always was right. Arrogance, but he didn't. That is one time it fell through the crack. And when it fell through the crack, she is left with not enough. Not enough. Luckily for her, all her, in Canada, all her health and all her drugs that she needs can be paid, will be paid. It's free, it's part of the health plan. The universal health plan for the entire country. But if she had to depend on the 4 medications that she wanted, what would have happened? I am not saying her son will not kick up the slack. I know he will. I have spoken to him. And he is too going through some marital problems. That's why the grandchildren have sided with the mother. So they're not going to visit their grandmother. And she said to me with tears in her eye, I have nothing to do with this. Why are they punishing me by keeping themselves away from me because their father and their mother are having marital problems? But you remember what she said? We both paid towards the education. She didn't say we paid together. And then I confirmed. I said, so what do you mean? He paid some. She said, oh yeah, he paid from his and I paid from mine. Because she was always saving her money. And she believed there would be money everlasting because according to how he spoke. But letting somebody make decision about your future for you when it comes to money is wrong. It's very wrong. You need to be involved in that package deal. You're part of the deal. We have no idea when the Grim Reaper will call. We don't know when we're going to die. We don't know which one of us will die first. So you should be involved. When I coach young couples when they're buying their homes and all these things, I tell them, you better get this thing together. I tell them it all has to go in that account, and you have to know what's going on. Each of you need to be involved in this thing. Because you have to know everything is done on a computer, which is great. But you still need to know what is being paid and what is not being paid. What is the asset? What is the liability? What is the insurance? What is not insured? What does your pension entail? The pensions are complicated. There's various types and levels of per company pension. Some companies allow you to take 50% of your pension, and 50% if you die before your spouse goes to your spouse, so your pension continues. Whereas in his case, he took the 100% of the pension when he was alive. It died with him. Had he opted to put that 199 towards it, he would have gotten 75% and she would have gotten 75%. The pensions are so different. But he didn't do that. So she was left with it. So what I'm trying to say to each and every one of you is that if you are in a relationship with somebody and it's a love relationship where you're committed to each other, sit inside of each other's lap when the money thing is going, when they bring that pension, this is my new job and I have these pension papers. Sit down, man. Get a dictionary and look at the words, look at the key words. My mother said to me, there is no stupid questions, true, but she said there is no dumb question. The thing about it is, you don't know, ask a question. That's what she said. You don't know, ask the question. Whether people in the room laugh at you, she said the point is, you now know. You now know. You didn't know. And you asked, people snickered, but now you know. So that gives you more power. So when you're filling your forms, when you start employment, read them properly. If you're not sure and you're irritated and you don't get it, dictionary, or go get somebody who knows. Go to a financial planner. Ask somebody. This is the package from my company. What do I do? I am retiring. Go to a retirement lawyer. Go to somebody that knows the things and get them to explain it to you. Because you see, it is too late. And what did the songwriter say? Too late is often the cry. You have to do it. You have to know. So that's why I wanted, this is a part of financial planning people don't know about. So with all the duties that her son has to perform, the 57 duties you have when somebody dies, now he has to figure out what is the best course of action for his mother. He too is having some things to deal with. Is it the right time for him to be facing that? She's sitting there, the grandchildren that the husband paid money towards schooling and she paid from her tiny pension towards schooling, has no time for her. So the other part of this thing is, when you're going through this journey, sometimes you have to be callous. Sometimes you have to be harsh. Sometimes you have to make some decisions that are not liked. Sometimes you have to make some decisions that are not popular. Would she have been better off if she had just let her son and his wife pay for their children's education? Maybe. What about the one that comes to the bank and you're sitting there and you dare not say anything? So the son comes, the parents are together, the grandparents. The son comes, it's always the son. It's very seldom is the daughter that does it. It's usually the son. I'm not being biased, but that's what I saw. Well, Johnny wants this is my son John, and our grandson Johnny wants he's going to go to college, and we do and they don't have the money, and we don't want him to have a student loan. Student loan has never you ever heard of a student loan killing somebody? No. And we don't want him to have a student loan, so we want to put a line of credit on the house, on the old people's house. Okay? Father is shaking his head. Yes, mother is, and the son is sitting there. Everything is done. Give it about maybe 4 months. You see them back at the bank and they want to talk to the manager. And, you know, I wasn't the one who did the deal, but so they said, every month, $600 is coming out of our bank account and we don't know why. So I look at their account, go through this stuff, and I said, oh, it's for your line of credit. That's the interest on your line of credit. And she said, but John said he would pay for it. And she looks at me and she said, John has an account here, so you can take the money from his account. So you need to breathe, you need to relax, you need to let her just chill. And you have to say, no, I cannot do that. Because this house is not on John's name, it's your house. So the money to pay the house has to come from your account. If we take money from John's account, we can be fired to pay your bill. Oh, but we gave him the money so little Johnny could go to university. So I'm looking at the account, I'm saying, a line of credit was $600,000, and you got it 6 months ago. So why is it about 450 used already? So you still can't say anything. You're just looking at the numbers and you're doing the math in your head and you're going, Where is John? He's in Vancouver. He moved to Vancouver. So that's the case. They gave him the money and he moved away. I don't know who's going to school, who's not going to school. And there's nothing we can do. So I don't even know what happened, because after that it's out of your hands. But what I'm trying to say to you is that those things do happen. People, your children's children in the future is not your responsibility. If you want to support your children's children, then that's a choice you're making. But if you do that and in the end you're left holding the short end of the string, again, it's your responsibility. So only give what you can afford to lose when you're doing this type of arrangements with your children, your grandchildren. When you pay for the education, try to make sure you have something for you, because like she said, I can't go anywhere. She said, whatever. I didn't even know how to say that to you. But this is one of the things we must remember, that financial digging deep is knowing what your spouse is doing financially, knowing what type of pension and how the pension is distributed, knowing that the person dies, whether you're going to have pension or where you're going to have to figure it out and be on your own. So you need to know for sure what happens with financial situation with two people together. I am not a supporter of two separate accounts. It does not come together. I have to pay half of this and half of it. Just doesn't always work out well. Somebody gets the short end of the stick. If you're making a commitment to live a life together, then you should put the stuff together. If the life is going to split, then it will split according to the law. But don't let it have this feeling that, well, I'm doing this, and figure it out. Get together and know what the packages on these pensions carry for your spouses. Know what they're signing when they're older. Or when you're 65 and 70 and you don't know what you're signing, go see somebody who knows. And let them look at the paper for you and decide, okay, you need, no. Do you want your wife to have money after you die? Oh, yes, for sure I do. Well, okay, well then you need to tell them to take that $200 from there. Okay. Do you want to get all of your pension up front, or do you want to take it 50% and then if you pass, she gets 50? Oh yeah, you didn't sign here. He didn't do that. So she's left with a little bit of money. So that's why I wanted to bring this on Financial Night. as I said, I keep my ear to the ground. And when I hear something that you can learn from, or anybody can learn from, I like to bring it out. So I hope you learn